Okay, so in this video, this short video, I'm going to correct a mistake that I made in the video that I published yesterday. So thank you to you guys in the comments that kindly pointed it out. I appreciate you being, first of all, checking my math, but also like being kind enough to point it out to me. In yesterday's talk, I was on this sort of ride into this whole fractional pizza manifesto idea where, a whole Bitcoin is too expensive for most people. It's kind of out of reach for most of the middle class. But if you think about it in fractional terms, it's very obtainable still. And so we talked about owning 0.21 Bitcoin, getting to 0.21 Bitcoin. And by the way, if you missed yesterday's video, I'll link that in the description below. So you might want to check that out because I go through, all the merits and how that actually puts you in the top 1% of Bitcoin holders for the future. But one of the maths that I talked about, and I'll come back to this stuff just as a review. Right now, 0.21 Bitcoin is under 20,000. So what I was trying to do yesterday was, just kind of break it down to the ridiculous. And unfortunately, I fat fingered the math. And so in the spirit of mea culpa, and just kind of making, just trying to be accurate and correcting mistakes when I make them, because I will make them. AI makes mistakes too. My coach makes mistakes. We all make mistakes. So anyway, not to belabor the point, but so basically I was saying, buying 0.001 Bitcoin, which is about $90 worth of Bitcoin. I said that it would, by my math, because I was one decimal place off, I said it would get you there in 21 months. And so I was off by a factor of 10, no small mistake, right? So actually, if you do basically $90 a month, which, is reasonable, I think, for most people, depending on what your income, depending on what your investable, sort of stack is for that. But actually, correcting that, it would actually take 210 months. Which is 17 and a half years. So 210 divided by 12 is 17 and a half, or about 176 weeks if you prefer the weekly view. So at a rate of 0.001 Bitcoin per month, or about $90 a month, it would take approximately 210 months, not 21 months, to accumulate 0.21 Bitcoin. So that was the first one. The second one was if you did it weekly. I erroneously told you guys that it was going to take 21 weeks. Again, off by a factor of 10. So again, buying at 0.001 Bitcoin, which again is $90, about $90 a week, it would take you about 210 weeks or 4 years to accumulate 0.21 Bitcoin. Now, so I wanted to correct that math, but I also wanted to go through and talk about the math. So I wanted to go through the example that I used yesterday where, what if you wanted to get to 0.21 Bitcoin in 21 months or 21 weeks? So the math on 21 months at, where we are today, about 90,000 per Bitcoin, would take about $904 per month. So it's 959 divided by 21 is $904 per month, which, depending on how serious you are and how fast you can accumulate, that might be a good plan. So, parsing that out to 21 weeks, again, so you would just basically take that 904 and apply that every week. Now, obviously, this math will get a little bit wonky because there's also, the price fluctuation in Bitcoin. Some weeks you might get more Bitcoin for $904. Some weeks you might get less. If we go back into this bull run, it might be less. But the point of the whole thing that I was talking about in the video yesterday is just getting into the habit of dollar cost averaging as much as you can in a responsible fashion. The truth is, we all live in a fiat world still, and most of us still have to pay bills in fiat and all of those kinds of things. So you don't want to get to a place where you're sort of over allocated and you wind up having to sell, some of your Bitcoin anyway. So that is the short correction that I wanted to make from the video yesterday. I did go on to talk about, the 5-year prediction models are basically very conservative, a $250 price target by 2030. I mean, I think it'll be much higher than that. But, this 0.21 Bitcoin would essentially more than double. You'd more than double your money. Now, again, I think that that's really, really super conservative. I think it's going to be much higher than that, but none of us can tell the future. I'm not a fortune teller. I also talked about the, incorporating the financial independence, retire early principles with Bitcoin, like my wife and I have done for more than 10 years now. So this is just where you can really get your arms around your finance, and get super organized. Cash flow, track expenses. By the way, if you struggle with that, I actually have a free budgeting personal finance course. The link is in the video description below. I used to charge $250 for that course, and that is basically the program that I run all my financial coaching students through. The ones that have debt and the ones that are maybe struggling financially. That's basically what I want to run them through. But if you're trying to, take your money to the next level, there is nothing wrong with you, going back to the basics and figuring out, okay, are there some things that I'm missing? Increasing your savings rate, like I talked about yesterday, and I talk about this all the time. When I went back into corporate America, the last 5 years, we increased our savings rate to 70 to 80%. So we were only living on 20 to 30% of our income during those years. Now, I understand not everybody can do that. That's extreme. However, depending on your situation, depending on how serious you are about getting to financial independence, if you're anything like we were and we were super, super serious about that. We were willing to make tons of sacrifices. And, it's funny because what we as Americans look at as sacrifices are really, really first world problems, super bougie problems, right? Optimize all of your spending. Dollar cost average as a habit, which we just talked about in Bitcoin and maybe some other assets as well. Just commit to buying assets. The only thing that's going to get you to across that finish line and essentially out of the middle class is just buying lots of assets. And it is my proven track record, personally, we've done this. So we know it can be done. You can reach FIRE in 10 years or less. It's totally, totally possible. And I think that with this wealth transfer that's going on right now, if you're playing your cards right, you're really going to do well. So some of the instruments that we use, the Fold card, Bitcoin, it's basically like a Bitcoin checking account. I'm not going to go through all those. You want to, go and watch the video that I did yesterday. Like I said, I'll leave the link in the video description below for that. But yeah, I just wanted to sort of clean that up a little bit. When I do make mistakes, I do appreciate you guys as a community sort of holding me accountable. Again, I'm not going to do everything perfectly, but I'm just a guy out here on the interwebs trying to figure it out, showing my process, trying to help you think a little bit differently about this and make this whole process of, fireside Bitcoin, getting to financial independence much more doable, much more palatable. So whatever the next transformation that you need to make in your finances to get you ultimately across that finish line is the only thing that you need to be focusing on. So thanks so much. If you are not subscribed to the channel, which YouTube is telling me about 80% of you guys that watch my videos aren't, I would appreciate it if you would hit the subscribe button, share this video with someone, like the video. That really does help get the message out, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, since you made it this far in the video, I wanted to offer 2 resources that will help you integrate Bitcoin more deeply into your personal finances. Number 1, Gemini's Orange Bitcoin MasterCard. You can earn up to 4% Bitcoin on everyday purchases like gas, dining, groceries, retail purchases. There's no annual fee, no foreign transaction fees, and no exchange fees on any of your rewards. Plus, if you sign up today using my link in the video description below, you get $200 in Bitcoin when you spend $3,000 in your first 90 days. The link is in the description and the comments below. Number 2, I'm also offering one-to-one calls to answer questions and to help you integrate Bitcoin into your personal finances more deeply, including traditional FIRE and Bitcoin planning, as well as Bitcoin self-custody. Link is in the video description below for that.